I'm getting a mulligan here. I'm going to take a mulligan here. Thank you, Joe Biden. I really appreciate it. Or, whomever, right? I mean, we're going to restart this. 36 days to the start of the National Football season. Big sales! Do we have a Power Pack show for you? Since I gave you the stats from Pauly Shore already, I'm not going to bore you with it. Not going to do that, but this is one of the greatest times of the year. Because the optimism, the conversation on social media is insane right now when it comes to football in certain places. Who do you think are the top 10 fan bases when it comes to conversations about their respective teams and how they look at their 2023 football season? So Twitter, over the last 30 days, what they've done, they have taken 750,000 tweets about Super Bowl. What was it? Super Bowl, division conversation, and playoffs. And here are the 10 teams that fan bases converge about when talking about the upcoming season. Of the 750,000 tweets, Ravens, 9.67 at 10. Dolphins at 9.70, number 9. Bills, I thought this was low. 11.36 of the 750,000 tweets, number 8. The 49ers, 12.65 at number 7. The Jets, with all the hoopla and hard knocks, 13.08% of the 750,000. Number 5, the Bengals. I was shocked. 14.14. Number 4 most converted, or I should say conversations that are going on about their upcoming season and their NFL team, the Lions at 17.55. Networks, look at this. What's trending? Who are people talking about? And here are your top 3 teams on social media. The Dallas Cowboys at number 3 at 18.36 of the 750,000 tweets. Number 2, the Eagles, 18.95%. And the number 1 team are the Kansas City Chiefs, 19.61. Your top 3 teams that are being talked about the most are Cowboys, Eagles, and Chiefs. That's what networks look at. They don't give a shit about the Ravens. They care about Cowboys, Eagles, and Chiefs this year. Those are the best fan bases. Those are what people are talking about. I think the Jets are high at 6. No one usually talks about the Jets, but Aaron Rodgers. Hey, the more winning they do, there's going to be more conversation about them. Dude, the Eagles right there. Eagles and Chiefs are the most talked about team with NFL fan bases. Great fan bases. And really, if you go down the line here, these are some of the best fan bases in the NFL. You're not getting a lot. Hey, I say this one more time to you. Hey, Green Bay, welcome to the land of no one gives a shit about you anymore. You went from being relevant to non-relevant. Nobody cares about your quarterback situation or your upcoming season. That's a great fan base. No one cares. That's pretty amazing. Eagles and Chiefs. Not surprising, though. Chiefs Kingdom, Fly Eagles Fly. Tremendous fan bases. This is what networks do and websites. Well, let me do something negative towards a Philadelphia Eagle player, and that fan base will go nuts, and they'll start clicking away. They use this to use you. Me, I talk about you to have conversation. This is what they do. I don't use this. I don't give a shit about this list. I kind of do because I'd like to know who people think are relevant today. Here are the most relevant teams. Your top 5 most relevant teams as of August 2nd. Chiefs, Eagles, Cowboys, Lions, Bengals. That's who everyone's talking about. You're one of the most talked about teams in the country on social media. I think that's awesome. Good for you, man. You know how fun it is to cover a relevant team? Do you know how fun it is to cover a team? And you know what? I know what some of you think. Some of you go like this. So all you do is beat us up. No. All I'm doing is polishing and refining. Nobody on the planet wants to talk about the Cardinals. My God almighty. I would cut my throat if I had to cover the Cardinals. Covering the Cardinals? Wow. Why? And for me and my style, covering the Cardinals, I would be killing that quarterback and that coach on a daily basis. And it would be almost unlistenable after a while because even I would be pathetic with it. It's so fun to cover a team that wins and a team that Hey, I said this earlier, and I'll say it again to you guys. Philadelphia Eagles are the best paying football team in the National Football League. It would be Armageddon if you covered the Cardinals. Oh, my God, I'd be fired in a day. If I covered the Cardinals, I'd be fired in a day, maybe a week. Maybe in a week. Oh, wait, that's right. Yeah, okay, well, I'm going to leave that alone. But, yeah, if I was in Phoenix, wouldn't take long because everybody knows how I do it. And for the record, one of the reasons why we're the most watched television show in Philadelphia right now is because the majority of you understand how I do this. I don't tell you what you want to hear. I tell you what the truth is. With some opinion here. It's up to the players to change that opinion. We're going to have a couple topics here today. By the way, I want to do this. Where's that sheet? You know, I was debating on doing the Dak Prescott versus Jalen Hurts conversation. I was going to do that second. But I think because of yesterday, we should do it first today. And because of how some of you looked at it, let me ask you something here. And help me out on this. How many people believe that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott? Or do you think he just had a better year last year than Dak? Can you answer that? You couldn't answer questions yesterday. I want to hear you now. Do you think that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott? Or do you think he just had a better year? How do you get Jalen's better? He had a better season. Dak is not really a turnover machine. Last year was his worst year. If you look at his statistics, it's pretty much almost 3-1 in interceptions. Last year was a bad year. So you're going off of 1 year. You're telling me you think that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott based on one season, and Dak has one bad year. How do you look and go like this and look at yourselves in the mirror and say, off of one season, that's like telling me Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. That's pathetic. That is pathetic. So Jalen Hurts, off of one season. Now, I'll give you this, and this is kind of what I took from Tone. I'll say it here. Jalen had a better year last year than Dak Prescott. That's a fact. And yes, is he a better quarterback? Absolutely not. How could you say that with no sample size, except for a little bit, that you think that he's better when he hasn't beaten him? And that guy has destroyed you. 8-3, as we said yesterday, 67.7% completion percentage, almost 3,000 passing yards, 19 touchdowns in 11 games, 98.9 QBR, 8 yards of play. Every time he has a play, it's almost a first down against you. And you think your guy's better. Kuhn goes, I'm projecting Jalen will be better than Dak this season and moving forward. Oh, you're projecting. Oh, okay. But it's not a fact right now. So you're get this. You need to stop Sileo. Dak stinks. How does Dak Prescott stink when every time he lines up against you, it's a career football game? How does Dak stink? I do not believe that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott until he does it longer. He had a better year. Absolutely truth. Absolutely truth. He's not a better player. I don't give a shit what you think. I would never. Hey, here, watch this one. Hey, Sills, do you think that Sauce Gardner is a better football player than Jalen Ramsey or Darius Slay? No. No, I don't. Or Stephon Gilmore? No, I don't. Need 2 more seasons to make that comparison. I love that Maniac, and I 100%. Maniac, I'll tell you this. He puts that together this year, we are going to start going, yeah, he's better. He's better. Jalen is better in the playoffs. He was terrible, but for the Super Bowl, Kyle. He wasn't great in those games. Actually, if you think about it, 3 of the 4 games he played in, they were mediocre at best. He's 2-2. You're making it sound like this guy has some sort of been awesome in it. He hasn't been. The Super Bowl, he was great. See, look, I'm speaking truth here. He was great in the Super Bowl. He was spectacular. The other games, he wasn't. They were not. I mean, there was one game, if you took that gift by the referee away, he had under 100 yards passing. Dude, I cannot believe, again, that you're going to take, here, I'll take Dak out of this. Do you think that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson? Jalen took talent to a Super Bowl where did Dak? I didn't ask you that, Marshall. Do you think that Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Hurts? Get this. So Disrespectful goes that he thinks Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback off of one season compared to a guy who's a unanimous most valuable player. How in your right mind do you put that together with any kind of credibility? None of you have credibility when you say that shit. You do not have credibility. You do not have credibility when you say that. Watch this. And again, I'm going to go with, if you're asking me, Sills, who had a better season last year? No doubt about it. Hurts was superior to Dak. Too small of a sample size to say he's better than him. That's why holding those interceptions against Dak Prescott, that there's no quarterback in the NFL with more pressure on him than Dak because he plays for the Dallas Cowboys. I will admit, Dak has had a longer career and has put up the numbers throughout his career despite the lack of playoff success. Hurts has to put more time in for me to really compare his career to Dak's. This is an intellectual take here. But if I'm choosing a quarterback to lead my franchise, I'm choosing Hurts. And yes, I'm being a homer. That's fine. He quantified it at the end by saying, here's why. Totally right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Make no mistake about that. Dan, you credit. Okay. Again, see people that just don't want to buy into. Joseph goes like this because Joseph doesn't like to hear the truth. He likes to be lied to. And that's why people like Josh Harris lie to you on a daily basis. Because there's Philly fans like you, Joseph, who don't want to hear the freaking truth. You've won one Super Bowl in 30 years. Tone's right. Your owner, I don't know. Win a little bit more, Hoss. You're not the Rooneys, and you're not the Crafts. Just because you show up to the dance doesn't mean you dance with the prom queen. You got to win those games. That's kind of why Andy Reid was fired, because he didn't. My God almighty. This is so easy. Jalen Hurts, here. Here is exactly where Hurts is in his career. He had a great year. Great year. Dak has had talent for years and accomplished nothing, Sells. What has Jalen Hurts accomplished? The same as Jimmy Garoppolo? Jimmy's been to 3 NFC title games, won 1. He's accomplished. What exactly has Jalen Hurts accomplished? So, what has he accomplished? He's not the best passer in the world. What's he accomplished? There is nobody with more pressure on him this year than Dak. He's the Cowboy quarterback. He's the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, the most visible position in American sports today. And then, hey, watch this. Here's one for you. Dak Prescott plays the most important and most visible position in professional sports in America. Nobody, LeBron, Giannis, Ohtani, Judge. He plays the most visible, televised, watched, critical position in American sports. It's what playing center field for the Yankees used to be back in the day when DiMaggio and Mantle did it. Now it's the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. And once again, Nick, you must not understand English. In American sports, I don't give a shit about France. Hurts accomplished more than Dak. Really? A conference championship in less time. So then if we're going by that, Big Marshall, that means that Jimmy Garoppolo's accomplished more than Hurts, in your opinion. Correct? He's 5-2 in the postseason. He's actually gone to Green Bay and beaten Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay in an NFC championship game. He's actually beaten teams and quarterbacks in the postseason to get the conference title games and Super Bowls. So Garoppolo, according to you, is more accomplished than Jalen. Okay. As long as you use your same formula and your same metric for other players that are in the game, then he's more accomplished, correct? Okay. Okay. He's more accomplished. So Jimmy Garoppolo and Jalen. I like it. All right. But you're talking about that. No. I'm talking about your metric and how you're, according to you and how you see it. That Jimmy Garoppolo, who has had more success than pretty much a lot of quarterbacks, actually, if you think about it, 5-2 in the postseason. This guy's got a better win percentage than Dan Marino, according to you. Okay. 1 year, and you're crowning him better than guys in the league. Boy, not me. I think you got to have a little bit more time, and I think you have to have a little bit more of a sample size to sit here and start saying that he's better than Dak Prescott. Dak had a bad year. That's for sure. Jalen had a great year. The year before that was not so great. So Jalen's had a great year and a shitty year. And you call him better than Dak. So wait. Let's just see how that worked out, because Jalen's first year starting was not very good. It wasn't very good at all, actually, and that's one of the reasons why they were thinking of getting another quarterback, is because Dak Prescott stats. Okay, so let's do this. In 2022, Jalen Hurts had a better year, right? Dak was hurt in 2,860 and 23 touchdowns and 15 picks. The year before that, Dak Prescott threw for 4,500 yards and almost 40 touchdowns, 37-10, with a 104.2 quarterback rating. Superior numbers to your guy in 2 years. And he's better. Right? He was hurt in 20, obviously. 19, 49-02. 30 touchdowns, 11 picks. I'll take that. It's 3-1. 37-10. That's almost 4-1 in touchdown interception ratio. Dak had a bad year last year. And you're going to try to tell me you think that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback. Where? No. My friends, I'm here to help you. He had a better season. See, I'm trying to put this shit in perspective for you here. I'm not trying to downgrade him, and I'm not trying to denigrate him. And I'm not trying to tell you he's not a good prospect. But before you start crowning someone king, you want to see how he reigns over his kingdom, don't you? Before you start calling this guy the greatest leader of all time. This guy's got 1 year. The year before that, he stunk. And the year before that, Dak Prescott had almost 4-1 in touchdowns and interceptions. The hell are you talking about? Well, he's better. Where? No. He had a better year. He's not better. He's not better than Dak Prescott. You think he is. What Jalen Hurts did last year throwing the ball is a down year for Dak. Now, the interceptions are low, and it's great. I'm more impressed with that than being underimpressed with the 22 touchdown passes. I'm more impressed with the 6 picks, because to me, that's the difference in winning games, not turning the ball over. Okay? Hey, you guys can cry all you want. You guys could try to say whatever you want. And I know some of you that Dak Prescott is he's a trigger. He's a trigger for you. Because you think your guy's better. No. Your guy played better. But he doesn't have a history yet of doing it consistently. He had a very underachieving year his first year. Last year, he was great. Prescott was hurt a year ago, played poorly. Still in the game against you, he put up a 5-touchdown performance, an 80% completion percentage, and still beat you. And the year before that, he was 4-1 in touchdown interception ratio when he played all the games. And won a division title. And those games were never competitive with the Eagles. Rain goes like this. What question did you ask? There There's no argument that you have, none. When it comes to player evaluation, you're adding team stuff. I'm adding what the player has done. Put the team stuff aside for a second, because it's a team sport as well. You're going by 7. No, I just talked about the last 2 years. I was just talking about the last 2 years. The Cowboys have won 2 seasons in a row with 12 games. It's not like, actually, if you think about it, let's see. Last 2 years, the Cowboys are 24-10. And the Eagles, where'd they go? 14-3? They go 14-3? 23-11. Cowboys have a better one-loss record than you. What's your argument head-to-head that he makes Jalen better? What's your argument? He had a better year? That's not a strong enough argument for me to crown a guy better. I got to use the same stuff that I'm using on Sauce Gardner, too. Calling Sauce Gardner the best shutdown corner in the league after one season, I'm not there. Let's see you going again and go out there and do it again. Let me check you out and see if you're Jalen Ramsey or you're Stephon Gilmore, Darius Slay. Let me see if you're one of those guys. T, that's an opinion. Hurts is better. You have nothing that proves it. He has the record against you. If you want to go team, he has the statistics against you. And he has a resume that proves it. Last year was a shitty year for him. He plays the most visible position in pro football. He plays the most visible position in American sports. He's going to have the most pressure of anybody in the league and in America. Maybe Aaron Judge playing with the Yankees. You really think there's pressure on Bryce Harper like there is on Dak Prescott in Dallas? Come on, man. Everything he does gets criticized or gets commented on. Rain asked the question, who would you rather have, Dak or Hurts? Against you, Prescott all day. He beats you until proven otherwise. For the length of a season, Prescott gets hurt too, man. I like Dak. I like Prescott. I think he's a great example of being a franchise quarterback and a face of a team. I think he does everything correct. I'm a fan of his. I like the fact that he's an underachiever and he was a middle round draft choice and he's turned himself in to arguably one of the best quarterbacks in Cowboy history. Yeah, man. I mean, what's not to like about that? What's not to like? That's right. And that's a really good thing too, Big Pickin'. I'd like to hear who Brian Johnson would take. Let somebody in the media in Philly ask him. If you had to pick a quarterback to quarterback your team if you were a head coach, who would you take? Prescott or Hurts? If anybody had any onions in Philly, they'd ask him that. Eagle people would shut that down. They wouldn't want that question asked. Because Brian might have to lie. He developed both guys. And he did it with Dan. He was the guy at Mississippi State that begged Dan Mullen to give him a scholarship. He's the guy that worked with him from the time he was a freshman. You think he's just going to go, I'll take Hurts. I don't care how long he's known Hurts. He's responsible also for Dak. I'd like to hear somebody ask Bill Belichick that question. If you had to start your football team, I mean, if you had to pick one guy who was the greatest player you've ever coached, is it Brady or LT? What would he say? I mean, Lawrence Taylor's the greatest defensive player, and he's also the greatest non-offensive player in professional football history. I don't know. Sills, it's simple. Does Dak make the playoffs better because Jalen does? Sills, it's simple. Does Dak make his players better because Jalen does proof as AJ and Devontae? 1 year. He didn't the year before that. He couldn't even find Devontae Smith in the playoff game against the Bucs. Dude, I think completely you guys are missing this. There's no shade on anybody here. You have to be patient. And I think you have to be more patient. Just be patient here. Let this process play out. So, you guys think how come every single time when you run into Dallas, they beat you? Every time Prescott's on the field and they run into, especially as of late, those games aren't competitive. Those games aren't competitive. I told Tone this prior to coming on the air here. It's almost like the Cowboys are built to beat you, but not built to win a Super Bowl. Because the last 10 years, they've swept you twice. You've never. I mean, and you've won a Super Bowl in that time frame and went to 2. It just seems that the Cowboys have your number. There's certain teams out there that you run into those teams and they have your number. Rain goes, we rested our players. Whatever, dude. So you make excuses for the Super Bowl about the turf and you resting players. It's funny how those other teams end up with W's. Oh, okay, sure. You want to use that? Fine. You didn't rest. Hey, okay, we're going to move on here because the majority of you are blinded by truth. Now I know why our country's in a position where we are. You'd rather be lied to. Everything's great. You have a rush to judgment. Whether it's Trump or Biden, we all rush to judgment. Then we find out shit. Like Wentz. How about this? Let me go back and ask you something. Did you, as a fan and you think the organization rushed to judgment on Wentz? And this is even hindsight now. Do you guys think you had a rush to judgment? By the way, your Carson Wentz era, I think Carson Wentz was a complete success for the era. It didn't finish well, obviously. But he did things no other quarterback in the history of the franchise did. Carson Wentz had a successful run in Philly. Whether you like it or not. Joseph goes, no. For a guy who won home field advantage for you in 2017, finished second in the MVP, won division titles, the first quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards, the first quarterback, and I believe the single season touchdown passer with 33 is Carson Wentz, and he thinks he failed. Wins a division title, 2 of them, and he wins a conference title, and he has a Super Bowl ring, and you don't win that ring if he's not your quarterback. See, what you guys have done is you think that you have shifted the majority of the success in 17 on the Foles. It's not true. That is so not true. He came in as a substitute teacher and was a tremendous substitute teacher. But the bulk of that season was on Wentz's back. Admit it or not, I don't give a shit. You don't think you had a rush to judgment when it ended the way it did? Huh. So you would have given him the 200 or the $38 million a year. And that's a good question, too. Would you have given Carson Wentz the $38 million if you knew it was going to end like this in Philly? Would you have? Wentz turned into a crybaby. That is so not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, would you have given him that money? Oh, maybe. Eagle guy goes, dumb question. Okay, what's dumb about it? You wouldn't have given him that money. You know you wouldn't have. If you knew how it ended, but you rushed to judgment, so you gave it to him. You know, man, I've never, you know what? I thought that there's delusional fans like Yankee fans out there, but Eagle fans are as delusional as Yankee fans and also Patriot fans, Bills fans. You guys are delusional on many of your takes. You think because a guy plays, here's what you said to me in a matter of 43 minutes. You said if a guy plays 1 year, that makes him better than a guy who's put up consistency and put up consistent years. Dumb. One. Okay? Absolutely dumb. You told me you didn't have that you didn't have a rush to judgment on paying Wentz. You'd have paid him anyway, even though it ended with him being a crybaby, according to some. Okay. Really? So you think organizations are in the business of having $38 million to $40 million of dead cap money to sit on their salary cap because they didn't make a mistake? Interesting. That's quite a take. So you thought Howie and the Eagles didn't make a mistake when they had $40 million of dead money when they sent that guy's ass to Indianapolis. Dumb. Number two. Give me a break. Prescott's not better than Hurts, even though he's got the numbers to prove it versus you. I don't know what else to say to you. There isn't anything. All right, we're moving on. Because sometimes when you're talking to an idiot, you're just ending up going in a circle, and I'm not doing it. All right. Let's go here. Who do you believe? Who do you believe is the bigger threat to the Eagles in the NFC between the Cowboys and 49ers? Let me get my sheets here. Who's the biggest threat? Or the bigger threat? Cowgirls, Niners. Cowboys, Niners. Okay. Since there's so many Niners, let's do the Niners here. Hey, Maniac, Tone, did I miss Maniac Super Chat? If I did, I apologize, Maniac. You know, I mean, I had to go through the dumb killing me cells. hey, need 2 more seasons to make that comparison. Completely agree with you 100%. You're right. You're dead right. Like 1 more year here, Jalen will put that conversation to rest. It'll be a 3-year sample size, not 17 games. Absolutely. Absolutely true, Maniac. See, there's conversation with you. Some, well, they don't want to hear it. They want to hear one of them cheerleaders over at IP like Elliot Spitzer, Polly Shore, talking to me about 4 practices. give a shit about 4 practices after 2. You think after 4 practices, I care what Hurts is doing in practice? After you just gave him $255 million? Holy shit. I have no interest in this. Can I tell you my biggest interest with Jalen Hurts this preseason? Don't get hurt. That's all I care. I don't give a shit if he throws 50 picks. Don't get hurt, kid. Please. That's all I care. Controlled scrimmages. Don't get hurt. That's all I care about Jalen right now in the preseason. I don't want to see him in a game. I'll get more evaluation on him in the controlled scrimmages. That's fine. Don't hit him. Don't anybody come near him. Let's get to the Patriots game and let's get to Gillette. All I care about. That's it. Okay? All right. Since you said the 49ers first, we're going to look at both the Cowboys and the 49ers. And this is what I think they have to do if they want to win the NFC. And dethrone the Eagles. Okay? As I said yesterday, I'm not deviating off that. I think the Cowboys beat the Eagles in the NFC title game because it's what the Cowboys do. They beat the Eagles. Always. But if the 49ers are going to dethrone the Eagles, this is what they have to do. Brock Purdy has to finish the 2023 season at quarterback. He's got to start it and finish it. No questions asked. There can't be an in and out at the quarterback position like there was a year ago and think you're going to win as many ball games like that or an NFC championship and beat Philly like that. Philly's too consistent. You're not going to beat you're not going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles with inconsistent quarterback play. And I just don't mean play. How about this? Inconsistent quarterback players. You can't have musical chairs at the position. It's impossible for the 49ers to win an NFC champ. Hey, watch this. They may win 12 ball games, but I think it's impossible for them to win an NFC championship against Philadelphia if you've got musical chairs at quarterback. There's just absolutely no way. Ben, no way you're doing that. That's got to be a priority number one. Purdy start the season, Purdy ends the season. If those guys are going to have a shot to dethrone the Eagles as NFC champions, they've got to get consistency, player consistency. One guy in the building. Number two, Jordan Mason cannot start more games than Christian McCaffrey in 2023. If you see the name Jordan Mason at starting running back in San Francisco more times this year than you do McCaffrey, they have no chance of winning the NFC champion and beating the Philadelphia Eagles. McCaffrey's got to be a consistent, viable part of the offense this year. Okay? He can't be in and out. Missing heel injuries here, back in. Dude, Jordan Mason cannot start more downs. Okay? Yeah, Quan, I know he's not a bad player, but McCaffrey's an electric player. He's not a bad player. I agree with you, Quan. Okay? I think the 49ers can't sustain a lot of injuries at key positions. They're not that deep. They're as deep as the Eagles are. They're not deep. Like the Philadelphia Eagles can't sustain a lot of injuries at key. You can't. Here's where the Eagles can't sustain injuries. You ready? Corner, wide receiver, The pathetic linebacker position? Stoutland, I think, will cover any injuries in the O-line. How about this? Who's the most important person on defense this year? Is it Reddick? Is Hassan Reddick the most important player on defense this year? Can't lose him. You cannot lose him. Here's another certainty that the Niners have to have this year if they're going to dethrone the Eagles as NFC champions. Kyle Shanahan has to show that it's not just a show, that you win significant ball games again. Do you know the difference? The difference between Bill Walsh and Kyle Shanahan. Do you know what the difference is? Bill Walsh beat incredibly gifted teams like Gang Green, the Bears with Walter Payton and them guys, the Giants with LT. Teams couldn't and players couldn't move around like they could today. You had a set group of guys that you were going to face every year, and they were loaded teams. Okay? Twiz goes, Sills optimist, no facts. All I did was give you facts on Prescott. And you call those optimist? When the guy has the resume against you for 11 games? How in the world is that optimist? How is that opinion when I give you what he's done against you? What the hell are you talking about? I didn't give you one opinion on Dak. You're going off of 1 year. I would never. So let me ask you this. Would you call somebody a Hall of Famer off of 1 year? Is that what you would do too? The guy's a Hall of Famer. He's the best player in Eagle. So are you saying that Jalen's the best quarterback in Eagle history now? Anyone who answers that, you're not going to get a lot of conversation out of me. Kyle Shanahan has got to prove he's a big-time coach. Okay? He does. I think he's a good coach, but Kyle Shanahan is Marty Schottenheimer. He's Marty Schottenheimer. And finally, Deebo Samuel has to be the electric player he was in 2021. Jet sweeps. Deebo Samuel's not the best or one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Deebo Samuel is the best Swiss Army knife in the NFL. Runs, jet sweeps, passes down the middle. That's what makes him unique. Like Hurts, he's unique. Like you would, if you were going to pick the top 5 wideouts in the league, you might pick Devontae over him. Probably would. I know this, I would. Would you take Devontae Smith over Deebo Samuel? As a wide receiver? Would you? I would. I don't have a problem. And I think he's head and heels above him as a wideout. But do I think that Deebo is more impactful in games? Absolutely. Yeah, but get this. Deebo Samuel will be more impactful in a game because he does more. He runs the ball. He catches. He blocks. He's an electric ball player. They have carved out a role for him in San Francisco. Okay? Like when you look up at the stats, Sammy will have something like this: 75 yards receiving, 45 yards rushing, and 2 TDs. You can't defend that because you don't know what to do when you're lining them up. Because you know what they do with Debo? Here's what Debo Samuel is going to do to the Philadelphia Eagles if you don't fix your problem right away. They're going to put Debo and match him up with your linebackers, and you're going to think you're at Oktoberfest. You're going to see a guy eating all day long. You don't have a guy in the building that can cover him. You don't have a guy in the building that can cover George Kittle. You don't have a guy in the building that can cover Christian McCaffrey. And then to tell me you're going to cover all of those guys? That's why this Brock Purdy thing is the significant and most important thing for the 49ers if they're going to beat the Eagles this year. You got to have him start the season and finish the year. Because if you get him in a playoff game, and the 49ers have to play the Eagles in the Eagles have to play the 49ers in a playoff game in a divisional round, wow. That'll be pretty interesting to see. Because I think the 49ers can beat the Saints. I think the 49ers can beat anybody if they get the play they got from Purdy they did last year. But he's got to beat a guy. And maybe what that does also, it covers up some of the bullshit with this Trey Lance nightmare. Okay? Because the Trey Lance is still an albatross around that franchise's neck. He's third team. He's the worst. I mean, honestly, he's the biggest quarterback bust in NFL history. It's not so much, again, that Ryan Leaf was any better. The problem is you gave your future up for him. And you gave up all those first-round draft choices for him. Okay? Forte goes, Dan's entire prospect does not include how dangerous Hurts will be this year. You're damn right, because that's guessing. I'm going by what he's done the last 3 years. You're going by what he may do. That's what that take was with that guy. That's wishful thinking, hoping, optimism, which is great, but that's not who he is yet. Where in the world is that fact? Off of one season? And again, Dak Prescott, to circle back to that topic if you'd like, Dak Prescott had one bad year. The year before that, he was 4-1 in touchdown interception ratio. But all of a sudden, now the Eagle fans, he's a turnover machine. Well, he ain't against you. He kicks your ass. Take this. Dak Prescott, when he lines up against the Philadelphia Eagles, owns the pink slip on you. And do you want me to make it hurt worse? The history of what he's done against you. You have no retort. Well, Jalen he'll play great this year. Okay. Jameson goes, come on, Sills. What did I say was wrong? What have I said that is wrong? Slasher goes, it's irrelevant. Well, I wouldn't want to think that's irrelevant if you got into an NFC title game with the Cowboys and with that player, because you have yet to figure out the riddle of Dak Prescott. Do you understand that? You have not figured out Dak in 11 games. Facts. 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 We're going to do the Cowboys next. Look, It's not shade. All I'm saying to you is, why don't you give the process a little bit of time? Don't you want to go on a cool journey? Or do you want to go on a crash and burn again like you did with Wentz? Are you saying Jalen's going to end? No, I'm not. Nobody in their right mind thought Wentz was going to have a plane crash either at the end of his career in Philly, did they? No, they didn't. And don't lie. What's absolutely mind-numbing here is that the majority of the people that are in here hated Hurts initially when he got to the Eagles. Now, all of a sudden, you're the Pied Piper for it. You guys evolved, I'll tell you, man, from going from hating to now he's the best quarterback in Eagle history. Cannot wait for this. And by the way, I can just guarantee you these places are going to be packed this coming fall here with our great friends at Hooters King of Prussia. This is the official home of the National Football Show. We're so proud to start our relationship this week. My relationship with Hooters, as I've told you, goes on for 35 years. By the way, Phil Moran, the owner, who I've also known for over 30 years, he texts me this. You guys are going to dig this. He's in Vegas right now for the pageant. And one of the girls from King of Prussia, right here, check this out. Right there, baby. Phil sent this to me. And right now, they're having the pageant. I used to be a guy who was like the judge in that pageant. Fantastic stuff, man. And believe me, if you're going to have your draft party, this is where you want to have it. Your preseason football, and this is going to be the home of the Philadelphia Eagle fans. You can host all your draft parties there. Spectacular. Kids eat on Saturdays for free. Happy hours weekdays. 6 items for $6. 6 boneless wings. World famous wings. 240 North Gulf Road. King of Prussia, and do me a favor. When you go to Hooters in King of Prussia, tell them Big Sills sent you.